So these ladies have been our partners in residential real estate for not for a while now. But I've known Jane and Sharon going on what, it's got to be 10 years, isn't it? It's close to 10
I
years
think
now.
so. Yep.
Yes.
And they are just tearing it up. So I have multifamily properties or commercial real estate in 11 states, and they have residential properties in more than 11 states now. So I don't know what I'm going to do to catch up.
Oh my goodness, we got to
So,
catch up to you.
Apparently
but
now we got to catch up to you and Bob. Holy
It
smokes.
was amazing.
Yes, that was some good stuff right there.
so Jane and Sharon really focus on a lot of remote investing. So if you're ever interested in kind of using the internet to find properties, plus they have so many strategies under their belt. And I'm just going to turn it over to them right now. And I may have to log off here in a couple of minutes. I'm going to try and stay on, but something's cooking that I may have to take care of. And so if I have to leave early, thanks everybody for being on. I'm going to mute myself and turn it back over to Jane and Sharon.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole. Can I get hosting ability so I can share screen? James or Jane on your side?
You do have it. Oh, wait, you.
I'm sorry.
We're double trouble tonight
yes.
again.
All right.
Mine says Jane Irwin and Sharon McKenzie on mine.
Do you get it?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Got it?
Yeah. Is it covered?
Hey guys, we have a small group tonight, so this is just for the YouTubers out there, because obviously this goes on YouTube, so a lot more people watch it there. So tonight we're going to talk about tenant relations. This is brought to you by Virtual REI Academy. Like Nicole said, we joined up with them about a year and some change. I think almost coming up on a year and a half now. So we've been doing these Tuesdays since then. It's just a way to give back and kind of help people get started. Don't make bad mistakes like we did early on. Just kind of giving back. So some information, general information, as well as some advanced stuff, and trying to get some speakers in here to talk about, because everybody does things differently. We do things one way and some other people are successful and do it another way. So it's always good to hear a lot of different things. But it's brought to you by the Academy. Check out the website. This will be up on YouTube next week, and we're going to talk about tenant relations tonight. And take it away, Sharon.
Okay, just wanted to go over overview of tenant relations. I know we talked about other type of tenant things like vetting a tenant, doing property management, but here we just wanted to do like a overview on tenant relations and retention. And an overview, the importance of maintaining good tenant relations and the impact on relations and property maintenance. This will help to create long-term tenants and lower your turnover and the expense of maintenance and rehab costs. And your happy tenants will recommend you to others. They'll pay on time, they'll take care of your property, and they'll provide positive testimony, which will just enhance your marketability and bring other good tenants along the way. And you do really want to keep your tenants happy, because if they're not happy and then they stop paying, not just you having to pay for the expense of the turnover, but a lot of oftentimes I'm sure others here have experienced tenants get angry and tear up your property and make it worse, and then you have to fix even bigger damage to your property. One of our worst examples, probably a tenant got angry. It was actually, we were taking over the house from a previous landlord, so we weren't even in that capacity yet. But this guy got angry after he was kind of skating probably for a couple years without paying to us, coming in on the property and either removing him or, I guess it was kind of a lost cause. He took a sledgehammer and put holes in every wall, every ceiling, ripped down the ceiling fans, put cement in the toilets. It was a bad situation. It was horrific, but it was probably the worst one.
And luckily we got the house for very, 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 very cheap.
And ended up still making a good profit on it. But That was unexpected.
He did all the demo for you, right? That was nice.
That's yeah, demo
It's a
that
good
wasn't
way to look at it.
it really wasn't required. And some key considerations when understanding your tenant needs is you want to have prompt and effective communication. I know we talk about communication a lot along the way and building good relationships and rapport with people. And just like every other aspect of real estate, it comes down to communication and, respect their privacy and space, addressing maintenance and repair requests promptly, set the precedents and expectations up front, and reiterate how important the open communication really is. When people go silent, it's not a good sign. It's usually them putting their head in the sand mentality or fleeing the situation at hand. So, you want to really keep the lines of communications open, because without those lines of communications open, then things fall apart and you can't help solve their problems. We always explain that this is the only way that really you can solve those problems and come up with viable solutions moving forward. And this, of course, is a two-way street, as we have to explain the process of the tenant to set the tone. We have to keep our lines of communication open too. If we do get into a house and it needs some maintenance or inspection, we must respect the families living in their houses, respecting their privacy and setting up appointments and dates that are not only convenient for you, but and for your handymen and contractors, but it's convenient for them too. Most of these working class people, they're working every day. They have things they have to do, raising families. And you also want to address and fix the issues and make the repairs that are needed in a timely manner. You want them to be safe and happy, and it also reflects on your house and the condition of your house. And you want to maintain that integrity and maintain the asset. So, if a lot of landlords, somebody wants to be admitted, how they have, okay. There's a lot of landlords that I've spoken to that don't care as much about their family. I mean, the family that they put in the house, but so I kind of talked to them a different way about it. Well, don't you want to maintain the integrity of the house, keep your house nice, so that way, if there's ongoing problems that you don't fix or correct, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and cause bigger issues. So don't really respect the landlords that are just in it for the money and don't care about the end product or the tenants, but sometimes you got to educate people in different ways. If you have anything to add, Jane, just
Okay.
Okay, and more communication. Strategies for that communication, regular checkups and updates, utilizing digital tools, property management apps, emails, and have that open door policy mentality and ask for feedback. Provide a welcome. We always provide a welcome package, whether it's our tenants that we bring in or our owner financing families that come in.
I just have a question.
Okay.
I just wanted to know, like, where's the toilet paper? Because my asshole's like starting to itch and shit.
There we
Like
go.
my
Let's-
asshole's really starting to
Oh,
itch.
you're
There
such
we
a
go.
funny
Can you get my asshole,
guy.
please?
All right, we'll see you later. Bye.
We got it. Okay,
Sorry about that.
that's all right. We always provide, like I said, with our owner financing families and our renters, tenants, we provide a welcoming package. And in the welcoming package, we provide information that they need, like, the electric company in the area, water company, the average bills, what their average water bill would be, electric bill, so they know up front what to expect and how to plan and budget each month. And explain how they can add different events on their calendars for things that need to be completed on a regular basis. An example would be changing out the air conditioning filter. And in Florida, we have air conditioning running almost all year long. So, it's not a bad idea for us as landlords to purchase 6 or 12 filters ahead of time and, put them in a closet or something before the family moves in. And, let them know to change them out every month. And, just make it easier for them. And then it's easier for you because you have the tenant taking care of that. And then you want to be open and explain the process and how it works with maintenance and repairs and who to reach out to, and provide emergency numbers for that busted pipe that they get in the middle of the night. And then you want to establish that maintenance request system. You want to know how to get a hold of somebody, like I said, in emergency situations, as well as regular property inspections and the updates, because you do want to get in there periodically. Some people do it every 3 months, quarterly, just to get in there to inspect it, make sure that they're maintaining your property properly. And, that there's, you don't need to maintain, you need to maintain things and keep the upkeep of the property. And it is easier for both parties to have a login type of option for paying the rents. And, offer that to the tenants that are paying on time or early. And, let them know that this option could be taken away if they're late all the time on their payments. So it's an incentive for them to be on time, to make it easier to pay their rents on time. That's worked in the past too. And with the welcoming package, explain the best way to keep the communication open and to communicate who to communicate with, and ask for feedback throughout the process, throughout the rental term, in the beginning of the term, and then throughout that year that they're renting, and moving forward. Hopefully they'll stay in for years to come. And feedback really does, in every aspect of our business, makes us better at our job and what we do. And we can come up with some creative and better ways of doing things on our end when we receive feedback and are open-minded about it. And, a lot of other people do not receive feedback well, or don't ask for it. So you're ahead of the game when you do get the feedback and actually utilize it. It just betters yourself as a person and betters your business. And also with our packet, we do a little, we include a book that's meaningful and inspiring. That's a nice book to present to the family. And, such as one of the works of Frank McKinney, who, we love him to death. He always has aspirational, inspirational books that he comes out with. And he is a real estate builder and creative guy that started out over on the other coast of Florida. And now he is in Canton, North Carolina, right? So, just, to have something, special for the homeowners, just another added touch. And lease agreement clarity, clear terms and conditions, rights and responsibilities for both parties, and rules and responsibilities of the tenant as well. You want to make sure that you specify the exact rent amount, the due dates, acceptable payment methods, clearly state the starts and end dates of the lease. And like I said, hopefully they'll continue to renew and stay on for a long time, and outline the process and conditions for renewing that lease, so they know that that's an option and that's the end goal for everybody. And, you want to define who's responsible for different maintenance tasks and how the repairs should be requested or should be handled. Some tenants will damage the house and think that it's the landlord's responsibility without them having to pay or lose their security deposit. So, you want to keep that clear in your lease agreements, everything clear and concise and easy to read. So there's no misconceptions. And clarify, if you are adding a utility, which utilities might be included in the rent and which ones the tenant's responsible for. Let them know up front. Sometimes, I've seen tenants that add water. They include water in the rent. And Baltimore City is a good example, because if the water's not paid for, then it used to be that way. I think it still might be that way, where it's they can put a lien against the house.
Yeah, it comes back on the owner of the property, and then, if you didn't add that in and they don't pay it, And sometimes Baltimore City won't even tell you, and then you're looking at a, a couple $1,000 bill that they can put a water bill lien on it. At least that's the way it was. And, we certainly learned a couple things about that. Even when you're buying a house, that's, make sure that water bill lien is clear in Baltimore City and some other jurisdictions. I'm sure that's the way they do it.
Yep, make sure you know the rules and how they do things when you go into new areas. That's one thing that we do as, investing in different states and all, we got to get to know the lay of the land and how they do things in different parts of the country.
And we actually have people in Baltimore City. One was running a car wash and the other one was running a hair salon. So both things that use a lot of water and then not paying the bill. So lessons learned.
So, yep, so sometimes if you don't just, you would have to, don't have a set amount where they pay the water bill, but you might have to increase it or just bill them the next month for the month before. That way, that they're paying for the entire bill. And detail the rules regarding like noise, if you allow pets, the pet rent or, extra fees for that. If, you might not want smoking in your house, other people moving in or living in the house, and different policies. Make sure that's spelled out up front and they understand. And security deposits. Clearly state the amount of the security deposit and the conditions which it can be returned or withheld. And sometimes we don't even do security deposits. We'll do move-in fees. That way we don't have to put it in escrow or don't have to, it's different rules with move-in fees, and it's instead of security deposits. And entry and access, the landlord's right to enter. And like I spoke before, give them their privacy and respect when you do go in there, and and let them know that it will come up with a good date and time, and that's viable for everyone. And clauses with early termination and conditions which they can break their lease and what that means, and any extra money that they have to pay to break their lease. And and what specifications for that. And the tenant's rights and protections, the privacy rights, explain how that works, and any anti-discrimination policies, highlight that, make sure you're following that. And allow, you can also have personalization. All the contracts can be changed or amended that works for, if both parties agree. You can always amend or change things up or add or delete as needed, as long as you're following the rules of the state and the county. Conflict resolution. Handling disputes, listening to the tenant's complaints, the mediation and the negotiation techniques, legal considerations, and when to seek that advice, and compliance with the laws, understanding the landlord-tenant laws, fair housing regulations, and ethical practice in tenant relations. This is critical for maintaining that positive tenant relation and make sure that it's good living environment for everyone. You want to keep detailed records of all communications and agreements and incidents. That way you have, your list that, that you can fall back on, that, if anything was communicated, that you have a guide and detailed records for your protection. And establish a clear formal process for the tenants to submit those complaints. And, make sure they do understand how it works, the ins and outs. And sometimes when you go through everything and you might want to get a neutral third party involved, such as a property manager. We don't like to manage our properties. We like to get a property manager to do this for us. Or, you manage your own properties, you might want to get some sort of legal counsel involved. If the situation gets out of hand or before it does get to that point. And always have that follow up with the tenants to ensure that they're satisfied and, prevent previous future issues from arising. You want to listen to and address the tenants completely and effectively. And this can prevent the small issues from becoming major problems. Actively listening to their concerns without interrupting them. Is that somebody good that can come in? Yeah. No. Okay, I was letting somebody in. Explain the steps that you'll take to address their concerns and keep them informed throughout the whole process. People quickly feel ignored when some time goes by and they don't know how things are progressing. So, lines of communications for both parties, you'll make sure that they communicate and you communicate with them. And after resolving the complaint, ask for that feedback on how the situation was handled and what could be done to be improved in the future. And mediation and negotiation techniques. You want to remain neutral, and focus on finding a solution that's viable and good for both parties. Understanding and underlying the needs for both parties and finding that common ground is essential. And you might want to collaborate, work together, ask them to help you, what they think would be a mutual fair situation to benefit both parties. Sometimes they'll come up with something that you haven't thought of or that's more in your favor. And be willing to compromise and be flexible to satisfy both parties, and make sure you know the landlord tenant laws and regulations and you're compliant, and seek that legal advice. Consult with a lawyer when dealing with these complex legal issues, such as eviction proceedings, contract disputes, or, violations of any of the contract. And, just, make sure that through, periodically you do have a legal team or a person review your lease agreement to make sure that nothing's changed in the area where you're investing and things, and everything's legally sound and you're abiding the law. And, you do want to keep updated on the changes in the law that may affect you as a landlord. Because you don't want to have those pitfalls after you've already built so much trust with the tenants. And telling you, if you don't know the laws, chances are your tenants are more familiar with the laws, with the landlord rules than you are. We've seen that before where they can recite the laws verbatim back to you. So, you make sure you're protecting yourself. And you just, want to have a good business for everybody. So you do want to make sure you comply with, like I said, the local, state and federal laws. And rent control regulations. Some states have very strict rent control. Florida does not. And like I said, the rules with security deposit, that's why we usually do move-in fees. And the eviction procedures and code compliances, make sure your property and your buildings comply with any of the codes and safety standards and health regulations. And the rights and responsibilities, know your rights and responsibilities for the landlords and the tenants. And understand the legal requirements for terminating a lease for both parties. Is that? And tenant retention strategies, helping to keep those good tenants happy. You want to offer lease renewal incentives, regularly review and adjust the markets fairly, and recognizing and appreciating long-term tenants. Offer the tenants maybe to pick out colors or decor when they want to move in. Maybe you have a list of people and you've already picked out your tenant as you're, doing the finishing touches of the rental. Allow them to help with, the selection, to solidify that the house is theirs and they have a sense of attachment to that house and they'll stay longer. When it comes to renewing, you want to keep your good tenant happy. You might want to offer an upgrade or two, maybe an upgrade on an appliance, or add a stackable washer and dryer in there if there's no washer and dryer, or something simple such as a gift card to Lowe's or Home Depot add a vegetable or a flower garden or something to beautify the landscaping. Because you're not only making them happy to stay, but you're also adding to your asset, your house. And with the tenants, with the rents skyrocketing and how they've been going crazy the past few years, this will be the key with reviewing and adjusting the market of the rent fairly. Landlords may want to consider not raising the rents very much in the last few years until things level off, especially if you did raise the rent substantially to keep up with the market. Jane and I decided to kind of keep ours in the middle of the road and not follow the hype and increase the rents to the very top of the market there, because we saw that people were not going to be able to sustain that. And so we try to stay very conservative. And, sending a greeting card with a gift card on important dates, maybe their anniversaries or holidays or birthdays, that goes a very long way. A lot of people don't do that. And a lot of people might do it on like a regular holiday, but, make that special touch by sending it on their anniversary or birthday or something. That's, something that other people don't do. And I've actually heard of other landlords setting a monthly rate of rent at a price point, and the tenant actually pays a lesser price if they pay on time or early. They might say that the rent is $1,050, and if they pay on time or early, it's $1,000. We've seen that work and be very successful. Yeah, that's what I got now. Thank you. And I guess we could tell some stories about, war stories, or somebody can, provide what they've done to maybe help with retention and keeping the tenants happy and stay longer. Stop the screen. Well, we have seen some really good landlords and tenants, and we've seen some bad landlords and tenants. There's one situation we were just talking about not too long ago. We just moved into the Sarasota area, and we were looking, was it apartment? Or no, it was a condo. It was a condo, and we walked inside, and it was, the actual condo was a mess. They had things, the tenant had things in boxes, and they had mattresses on the floor and everything, but they didn't have, like, the landlord didn't provide the safety measures. I don't think there was railings going down to the steps there.
Yeah, and the big problem was
Yeah, this is-
the air conditioned window unit was sitting on the kitchen counter. So they were just running the air conditioned
With-
unit without
It going outside.
without it going out.
Without that, it was scary. That was scary. And
So that was one we were looking to purchase, and we just didn't want to be in the chain of command of all of that. So
and she had a small child, and we didn't want to be part of that.
and that chain lawsuit that was going to come down at some point.
And then we've talked to other, landlords who we said, oh, do you do like Section 8 or VA vouchers or anything? And they said, I don't want the government telling me what to do. If I don't want to have offer smoke detectors or CO detectors for those families, I'm not going to be told I have to do that. And I'm like, wow, what, you want to do that anyway for, the safety of the families and your tenants? But I guess different people think different ways. Does anybody else have any ideas of what they've done to retain tenants that's worked?
I think because of the hackers, we gotta raise our hand now or do something. Okay. All right, Emma.
Emma wants to unmute.
Thank you. Hi, guys.
Hey, Emma.
I recently got newer washer and dryer.
Uh-oh.
We lost you.
I think you cut out.
Must be on a bad location. I think I heard a washer and dryer.
Can other people hear her?
No, that's all I heard too, was just washer and dryer.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No
I
worries.
did you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if you heard what I said. My phone got, uh, you know,
No, we
I
did not. Can you go ahead and repeat?
no, sure. I said
Mhm.
that I recently got a newer washer and dryer for our tenants, not because the other ones were not working, but just to, you know, they've been very good tenants and we wanted to show the, like a gesture of appreciation.
That's fantastic. So, how long have they stayed so far?
They just renewed their lease for the second year.
Oh, that's
Nice.
great. That's great.
And you know, the rent went up $100, which is, yeah, significant amount. Not significant, but still.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, it's
And
can be.
yeah, and it depends on what you had it with, for before. So, that's not bad. And
It,
them having
yeah,
a nicer washer and dryer. And then if you do rent it to somebody else, you do get more rent for providing
right.
washer and dryer too.
And the idea was that the other,
Uh-oh, we lost you
Cutting
again.
out again. We lost her.
She's in a bad location with her
Mm.
phone.
Gotcha. Anybody else have anything, any questions or till she comes back?
Or any ideas?
Any
or-
ideas, things they've done?
Nashra, you've got kind of a different situation. Any ideas on your end from your perspective? If you're still on, I'm not sure if you're still on. Unmute. Uh,
I was about to say, this machine is not letting me speak. Perspective on keeping tenants happy.
Right, so you probably have, based on the properties that you own, you probably have more turnover than
Yes.
some. So you've got different, and maybe you want to talk a little bit about what you have and what the situation is and what you do to maybe try and keep your turnover as low as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the more unique properties I have right now is a kind of what's functioning as a boarding house. So, in the part of the building where the space is shared, that is where I see a good amount of turnover. I think the longest person that stayed there, she stayed about 2 years. Now I'm seeing people stick around a little longer. Once I furnished the common spaces myself before I kind of let people bring in their own items and um, but I think people were kind of getting into conflict over ownership and common space cleaning. So a cleaner to come in and do that, paid for by me, and providing a dining table and some common couches. I think that's kind of encouraging people to stay a little more. So I've kind of incorporated that a little bit, of help them with cleaners, kind of get a monthly pest control going, because over the years in the summertime, that kind of becomes a problem. So I just got that scheduled. But otherwise, that's in the go. I kind of just understand that I might see a bit more rollover just given the arrangement. So I am a little more flexible with the lease terms for the shared space. But given that it's so close to UMBC, finding a replacement isn't too
Nice.
difficult. Yep, so the university crowd kind of comes in and out.
Are you
Very
renting by the
nice.
month
Cool.
or the week? I'm sorry, are you renting by the month or the week?
Oh, so monthly. So kind of I do a 6 months plus month to month, or 1 year month to month. Sometimes they'll say they only need to be around for a semester, so I'll do 3 months followed by month to month.
Mhm.
I have let students sublet their space in the past. I had one girl who was there for her freshman and sophomore year. Um, Yeah, so it really just depends. I kind of just listen to the situation and kind of base it there.
Do you find that you
Are the
charge more
parents,
for the less amount of time they stay? So a 3-month person might get charged more monthly than a 12-month person?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of happened too. So if somebody said I only want to stay around for 3 months, then sometimes I'll introduce like a number where she's paying me $40 more a month, given how flexible the term is. And that's worked out too. But you know, I've had an international PhD student, for example, who didn't have as much funds coming in. So I did agree to go down on the monthly rent by about $50 a month. But, you know, she ended up staying for a whole year. So
Mm.
it's really been very case by case. So I try to delegate kind of thinking about all these factors to the property manager I have, but I kind of just really need to hear out the situation and base the situation like decision there. But it's so many rooms, or not, it's not that many, but like the cash flow is there with the house, so that kind of lets me be a little more flexible
Mhm.
because the other unit in the building is just its own unit. And I have a tenant there who's been there since the purchase of the property. And she's like this medical, either a nurse or a doctor, I don't really know. She's been there for the whole 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Um, mhm. Yeah, so but all these girls, they share the space, the common spaces, they share the laundry. So I what I want to do more, I was really listening when you guys were talking, Jane and Sharon. I might want to maybe throw in a holiday basket during the holidays, like try to keep the morale up a little bit, especially if I hear something about a conflict, an inner house conflict. I've told the property manager, don't tell me about it because it's the last thing I want to hear. I want that to be a her problem. But I
I
think,
don't know.
yeah.
I understand that. So it's a good thing about the property managers are they can unload the stuff you don't want to deal with on them.
Yeah, and like the previous property manager, she would get me involved because one of the tenants would found me on Facebook and she would message me about, oh, the property manager said this and you said this. And I'm like, why are you writing me? Like, we're all adults here. Like, resolve it with the property manager. So I did replace the property manager to somebody who does kind of understand how to talk to people with respect. So I did kind of catch that and change the property manager accordingly. But kind of like to what you guys were saying, I think I'm gonna try like holiday baskets, kind of just put a few more amenities in to keep the morale high.
Do
That's awesome.
do you have the parents like co-sign or responsible, if especially if they're younger?
Yes, for students, I guess especially freshman, sophomore, junior years, and when there's no work history, or no proof of income or a long enough time, then yes, I will have the parent co-sign. Parent, I've had a grandparent co-sign too. And then I have another place in Ocean City, which I short-term rent, but right now I have a long-term tenant in there. The first tenant I've had in there ended up being a complete hoarder. Um,
Oh,
Mhm.
yep, so I just asked him to leave and I, cleaned the place out. We agreed to just keep the security deposit because that's how much it cost me to clear it out.
I'm sure. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
And that was like my first purchase, so it really broke my heart that somebody would treat my property like this. So kind of made me emotionally stronger. But yeah, so that's kind of a mixed use, short term, long term. But I think I kind of just I'm a lot more. I'm not fazed by hoarders or drug addicts anymore. So I guess that's kind of the skin you make in this
Yeah,
business.
that was our first. You rehab it up to the bells and whistles, and then they tear it up. It's just,
It does break your heart because you want to try to give them a good product. And then, we did with a couple of our first ones, we've over rehabbed and made it, this extra bells and whistles and nice and you didn't respect it. And you're right that you do have to get your skin thicken your skin there because it's horrific when that happens, especially at the beginning.
Yes, yes, definitely. It's like, I'm providing you this nice home, and I'm being a reasonable landlord and I'm following all the rules. Why can't you? Um, so
Do you
yeah.
try to keep the same sexes in the building, like you mix guys and gals, or you just keep it all the same?
So I do try to keep it all girls. Now, legally in Baltimore County, you can't just only have one sex. Like I think, but I think the property manager, what she does is she tries to post in like the UMBC dorms, the girls' dorms, for example. So I think we're kind of trying to advertise to women. I've had a guy in there, and that has not caused any problems because how the space is divided is there are 2 floors in the building that kind of has its own bathroom and its own space. But there is one floor of the building that shares a common bathroom with about 3 or 4 rooms. Um, I will not have guys share the space there. But since it is a shared space, the people who are already there, they're aware of who's coming in. Um, and I haven't really had a challenge there.
Okay, thanks.
It's funny how you're regulated not to allow just, like a dorm situation with all males and females, but the colleges are allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that should be extended to me too, given the function I'm fulfilling here. Maybe I could talk to the university and get some sort of arrangement there, though I'm not sure how that would work with the county. So my experience with Baltimore County is that anything I need takes 2 years to get back to me. So
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
yeah, so I know I hear like they're so strict and everything, but can you be that strict if you're also that slow? It's just confusing.
Right.
It is funny. It's kind of why, for the most part, we have some in Maryland, but we've got rid of quite a few of our assets in Maryland because it got frustrating.
Yeah, dwindling down every day.
Where is your favorite state to own?
Um, I'm probably North Carolina and Georgia. We've had good luck with those 2 states.
I mean, Florida's pretty good with rentals. We can get them out quick. It's not heavily regulated with a lot of different things. Now, I mean, it's great they have the squatter law that, you can just say they're a squatter and they'll, like, so people can't break in your house and squat. So I think Florida is pretty decent with that too. We've had good luck in Indiana too with rentals. Even though it's a city in Gary, we've had pretty good luck with them and pretty good luck with the assistance if people get in a jam. Again, that communication comes back into play where, they say, hey, we're having trouble, and our property manager can get them assistance. We had one lady, I think, maybe a year of assistance, and then she was able to jump back on after COVID or whatever, but then stayed in place. So we've been able to keep people. But Maryland's just tough, especially Baltimore City. I mean, we had a lot in the city, and it just
To get people out is a
getting people
nightmare.
out. We had that one lady that just stayed for a year, and she would break something and call the code guys and say we didn't fix it, but we didn't even know it was broke because she broke it. Like, just all the games and nonsense.
No, it's too much. And I guess in Florida, we love, Florida, and it is, easier, but they've just their insurance and property taxes went up. So it really cuts into the profit with the rentals, and that's what people are having issues with now. And that's one reason why the rents have been, had such a hike in Florida, since Irma came through. I mean, I'm sorry, Ian came through. Some of the insurance companies left and they're starting to come back, but our insurances on our properties in Florida has quadrupled, and it's cut either out our profit completely or our profit's very, very thin now.
Where is your $10 every month?
So we've have to restructure. or, we've been structuring some into an owner finance situation or a lease option, or, kind of did some creative strategy where we were hoping to keep the house, but it's, so, that's unfortunate problem with Florida. And we've been reaching out to other people in our real estate groups, asking who they use for insurance companies, because we've used NRIG, which is the National Real Estate Investor Group for insurance for most of our properties, but they've been creeping up, and they actually left Florida and they came back since, but they're very limited on what they'll cover. So, and everybody's still having the same problem, so we really need some of these states that are really getting hit heavy with these weather incidents really need some strong competitors in there to bring the prices down, because people aren't going to sustain. We were just talking to a friend of ours who has a villa that was in the X flood zone, where they don't have any issues, and they've restructured some of the zoning, where now she's in a type of flood zone. X was like there's zero flood. So now her insurance, she has to get flood insurance now because she's still on a mortgage.
Interesting.
So, the other states that are having these weather incidents, and now,
Yeah, Texas is a big one.
yeah, they're having trouble there. And
I think that's a sign for me to keep away from those states. If it's going to
Well,
eat into
now-
cash flow.
well, now it's like more and more though, different, the weather incidents and weather patterns are happening. I mean, just in Maryland, they had that earthquake that came down, so you can't even predict what's going to happen, and then you got that tornado alley with this middle states in the central part of the country. So I guess every region and state has their own issue that you have to work out and get through. But you're right, for what you're doing, Florida would be a good opportunity because there's so many schools here.
Oh, okay. I'll have to
There are a
look
lot
into what their boarding house laws are. I know a lot of states are, stricter than others. Like Baltimore City is a lot stricter than the county is, in that space.
one thing we do like about Florida. They're not, they're very, very landlord friendly.
Oh, great.
And it's easier to evict tenants.
Anybody else? Any tips? Any questions? Comments? This or anything else?
Yeah, we can talk about, it doesn't have to be tenant relations.
Yeah, because we really have farmed out to property managers. We decided we weren't very good at that.
Or we didn't want to do that.
And you're right, because like if they find you on, Facebook, which we're pretty out there on Facebook, and then, people kind of find you, and then you're like the go-between. And we did have some properties where we were hearing, they kept saying, we're calling the property manager. And if you hear it one time, and we're calling the property manager, they don't call us back, or they don't fix this, or you hear it once and maybe it's, maybe it's them, but if you hear it over and over and over again, then your property manager probably isn't doing what they're supposed to. So sometimes we do, go around to our properties and, we just say, hey, we work for the owner, and, they wanted us to drive by and check things out just to hear what they have to say and kind of be out of the, just work for the owner, but kind of hear their story, hear what they're saying.
But you did good with the boarding house by switching property managers quickly.
Yeah.
Because we've had issues where we've tried to work with them and keep them on board longer, and it just, the inevitable. It just, you have to do it. You have to, what is it? Slow to hire and quick to fire.
I don't know. Now we're hire quick, fire quick.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I think when I catch a tone of disrespect, I think I just pay attention to that, and then that's kind of just what I was hearing. I was hearing that the property management team was not respecting the tenants. And that makes zero sense to me. Why would anybody disrespect anybody? So I think I just look out for that in people. It's tricky. I feel like you kind of just meet all kinds of people who are just brought up in different ways, like whether they're the tenants or like in other capacities. So, I kind of need to adjust myself, try to understand what like the people need, what changes I need to make. Um, that's kind of just a overall philosophic
Yeah,
thing.
you're right. You're right. I think respect goes a long way no matter what you do.
Yes.
Previous, job that did wonders as opposed to just, disrespecting people. But, because life happens. I mean, life happens with people. I was giving an example. Somebody called today, one of our people in their the husband was in a motorcycle accident. So, it's just they're gonna have trouble. So, if that's something we can help them with a couple days late, middle of the month, rearrange things. So it's that open communication, respect thing, and then just kind of we found that gets us, way farther than bringing the hammer down or just disrespecting people. It doesn't flow well.
And that's another good point you brought up at the beginning, when we first start structuring the lease agreement. We asked them what's a better time for them for when the rent's due. Well, the first, the middle of the month, or the last of the month. A lot of times we'd like to be on board at the end of the month, because they'll pay, because you're right before the first of the month when all the bills are due. So the rent will get paid first before everything else. So that's another thing that we do. We usually ask them what's a better time to, for them to pay the rent.
Oh, that's a good one. I'll keep that in mind.
And then some people, it's easier for them to pay twice a month. I know you might have to charge a little more because, with, fees, it's adding fees, but, you might want to add like $5 or $10 tacked on, just for them to have the ability to break it down twice a month or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty strict with that. I do enforce the late fees. Just to keep things like disciplined, if you will.
And that's a great idea, because we got caught up in the early on when we met the people and heard the stories and all that stuff. So we're like, oh, we'll waive the late fee. Oh, late, okay.
Can't
'Cause
fall for it
everything's a
every time.
story.
Yes,
Mhm.
and then we've learned that we're more strict with it, and we realized that, if you have a tenant and they're starting off the bat, the first couple months having issues, then it's gonna be a bad situation. They're gonna continue to come up with the excuses. But if they're a good tenant, they're paying, and maybe in the 8th or 9th month, they come up with a problem and they come up to you. They're more apt to be more serious, and work through them with that one little problem, and then they straighten themselves out. So we did notice that the pattern from the beginning is not a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've had my new tenant at the beach, he was late by 5 days, by 4 days, like right before the 5-day mark where the late fee hits. He was late, and but he paid it in the last hour, and he even texted me like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. This is what happened. This is why I'm late." And then for the next month, he paid the rent 15 days early. So
That's good.
so
Nice.
yeah, and I'm like his first landlord in life. So they're taking it seriously. They're these two young guys. So it's nice to see the correction. That's always so appreciated, and I make sure I show the appreciation too.
Awesome.
That's great. That's funny. We kind of befriended one of our renters who they ended up having some issues, and then they straightened their life out with like sobriety and such, and now they pay a month early. And we kind of helped them out, and supported them through their endeavors, and now they're paying a month early. So it is, if you like we were saying, keep the line of communication open and have some respect and understanding for people. their situations, then sometimes it works out.
Yeah, definitely.
Anybody else? Okay. How's our time looking?
Oh, yeah, we got only 5 minutes left, and sorry, Emma, that we kept breaking up. Maybe we can, next week, we can get you on to get your, either question answered or,
I am sorry. It was going in between my headset and the phone. I'm sorry, but no,
oh, you're sorry.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week, same time, same place. I think next week is bring a deal. So if you have a deal you want to look at or structure or something you think about, or we can certainly go over it and we'll see if we can't work something out. There's a lot of, you got to get the offers in. There's a lot of subject twos and a lot of pre-foreclosures, a lot of people kind of over leveraged and they're looking for help. So that's kind of what our job is problem solvers. So it's a good opportunity to get some of these creative deals. And we are going to have a virtual a webinar on remote investing probably in July. So start to look for that. We're trying to get things together for that. Probably be about a 4-hour short little class. So we'll have that probably next week too. We'll put that in the chat. So thank you everybody for being here and we'll see you next week.